All right, Team Stock Monkey. I'm just going to go over this coming week. I had done a previous little video, but it didn't get pushed out on explaining how the whole week goes together. So I'll probably throw a little bit of that into this one, and then I'll come back and make another video that explains the whole weekly template. Just know that this coming week is going to be similar to what was in the schedule for last week, and it'll be similar to the next coming weeks. As we get closer to race day, you'll start getting more blocks of higher intensity. You'll get more blocks of race-like intensity and more race-like strategy put into it, such as the transition workouts and so forth. We'll start getting a little taste of some brick workouts. Right now they're mostly optional or bonus workouts, but it's still good for your body to get used to the idea of coming right off the bike and into a run. So you'll see a little bit of that starting to be added and integrated into the program. So how's the next week coming look like? Starting tomorrow. So hopefully you guys will actually look and see what tomorrow is planned, because tomorrow is your key long bike day. That won't change really through the plan until we get to the race simulations and such. So Sunday, this is your long bike day. Long meaning, depending on how you're feeling, you're going to push from an hour, hour and a half, later up to 2.5 hours at max. And right now you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, that's crazy talk. But that won't be too hard to accomplish, especially as your fitness grows. But again, we'll kind of play it on how you're able to go with it. So what is the hour and a half goal? It's basically to build from zone 1 up to zone 2. Take your time with this. If you're not really that comfortable at zone 2, take a good 15-20 minutes to get up there. The goal is to get to zone 2 and then just hold it. You shouldn't be up and down on your actual pace and effort. So it might take a little bit of concentration to kind of make sure you're still working at that level. Again, it's really easy to slip from zone 2 down to zone 1 and all of a sudden realize you're not even really doing any work. So you do want to feel like you're just getting into some work, but not drifting too high into that zone 3 sort of gray area. Okay. The next thing is on Monday. Monday is the recovery day. Again, this won't change the whole program until race week, where I may actually have you do a little something, but right now recovery means just that. So you want to basically, if you just get off your legs and don't do anything, that's fine. However, I usually recommend some active recovery, some yoga, some stretching, something to basically just keep things kind of loose. And also, since a lot of times we blow off the stretching and such, this is a kind of a catch-up point. So please do some form of active recovery on that day. If your swim is weak, getting to the pool, doing 10-15 minutes, a couple drills, a couple back and forth in the pool, and get out. That's fine. It's just the more exposure to the water, the more comfortable you're going to be with it, and yeah, so I would recommend a pool on Monday if you can do it. Tuesday, this is your 2 workout day. Swim in the morning, 20-30 minutes. Again, that's saying 20-30 minutes is sort of quality swim time. No real goal distance here, but on Tuesdays we're going to start doing sets. The goal on Tuesdays usually is sort of in between distance. So I know the race is only 300, so and let's say 100 meters for an interval seems like a long interval relative to it, but the duration of the time is right where we're actually kind of wanting. So if right now 50 meters is all you can do without having to hang on the wall and do some things, then you can do these at 50, but the goal is to get to where you're doing them at 100 meters at a time with about 30-second or so recovery in between at the wall. Those recoveries, if need be, you can push them out to 45 seconds, maybe a minute, but that's only if your respiratory rate is really that high. If it is, that suggests that you either went way too hard or you're working way too hard. Working way too hard means that you need to work on your form, and that's usually the case for most early swimmers. They're just working way too hard. we'll get you working on drills. We'll get some things going to help improve that. Please look at the stuff that Triathlon Terran has put out. You can look at other things, Google's other things. Just take it with a grain of salt, because some of the stuff is very advanced that you find on the internet, and doesn't really apply to new swimmers that are just learning to be comfortable in the water. Total Immersion, everything by them is awesome. I would recommend looking at anything from Total Immersion, particularly on the drills and getting used to the swim. We'll go more into that, obviously, on a separate videos in person. So that's a swim. Even if you just get in and just getting in, that's going to be the main goal on getting these swims in, at least in the first few weeks. The next workout is your run. I know in the email it just says workout number 2, but it's a run. So it's 20 to 30 minutes, zone 2, or in this case it's zone 1 out and zone 2 back. So relatively easy out, kind of a recovery easy sort of thing, and then zone 2 back. Later we'll be doing more zone 2 out, zone 3 back. So you'll see how the intensity will build over some time. But the goal is just to get your feet moving and get out the door on Tuesday. Wednesday is your higher intensity kind of workouts on the bike. We're going to start with just some gear work. So it's about a short ride, 20-30 minutes. You may increase the time you have with some your warm-up a little bit more, which is probably better, but you don't have to commit to more than 20-30 minutes of actual riding time. What you're wanting to do is start with that, say, 15 minutes or so of warm-up, and then switch to a gear that makes it very challenging to turn it over. So you're pedaling at a rate of maybe 1 every second or so, so 60 RPM. Really pushing heavy gears. It shouldn't struggle so much that you're not getting them turned over, at least that fast, but at the same time, it should be feeling almost like you're lifting weights with your legs by pressing pretty hard. You're going to only do it for 30 seconds, so work it hard, 30 seconds, recover for a minute or so, and then work it hard for 30 seconds and recover for a minute or so. And you do this, a few sets of this. Again, you don't have a necessarily, I have to do exactly 6 or whatever, but the goal is to get half dozen or so in, and then what we want you to do is do 30 seconds to a minute of high RPM. So you switch to an easier gear and you're spinning those over and over and over. Now the thing is you want to do it up until the point you find your butt bouncing around in the saddle. So if you feel like you can barely go that fast without bouncing, then you really work on smooth pedaling, and you'll be able to go at much higher RPMs. When I first started practicing on the bike, about 100 RPM, I start to bounce. Now I can go way up to about 120, even higher, without bouncing. So it's just something you can work on. And you just do it for 30 seconds, and then you recover. And now the fast RPMs will actually get your heart rate up, and you may start breathing a little bit. That's fine. Take a couple minutes between. This is more of a form drill. Okay, so it should be challenging, but it shouldn't be super hard. And then the rest of the time is just zone 2, and then you're done with the bike. So you can do a bonus brick on Wednesdays. Later the brick will be part of the plan, but what I mean by the brick again is that you just get done with the bike, you just grab your shorts, put your shoes on, and out the door. Don't have to necessarily worry about transition training yet. Later we'll work on actually setting things up, pretending like it's a real transition. But in this case, the goal is just to get out the door right after the bike. So you're going to go out, and basically it's just 10-15 minutes of running, and kind of at whatever pace you feel like. If you get out the door and you're feeling good, go for 15-20 minutes. But otherwise, just even 5 minutes is going to be a benefit to you, just getting used to the leg turnover. Thursday is swim in the morning again, and an afternoon run. So you swim in the morning, 20-30 minutes. This is the shorter intervals. Later we add some intensity. 25, 50 meters. Now if you're only making 25, 50 meters before you have to hang on the wall, then that's fine, and that's what you stick at. The goal, if you're already comfortable with say 100 meters at least, then you want to do these at a pace that's a little bit more of a struggle, meaning that it's just a little faster than you're comfortable with when it comes to your breathing and things like this. This is part of learning to find your gears. Like right now, I'm still struggling a little bit in the pool finding these separate gears, because the difference between a really lazy swim and almost panic breathing, working too hard, is very small in the pool. There's a very little separation in those effort levels, and it takes a long time to get used to it. It have taken me years. I really only had barely moving and panicking like I was going to drown. There's no in between, and it's only through learning how to find those gears by practicing. Okay, this is my comfortable level. Okay, I'm going to just dial the effort up a little bit more. I'm going to get my arms to turn over a little bit faster. I'm going to kick a little bit more. And then finding out, oh, okay, that's what that feels like. You can't just jump in and go hard and then try to dial back, because you just collapse into a recovery rate. So that's the goal of these intervals. And then you recover for 30 seconds or so, and then do it again, do it again, do it again. And little by little, you'll start to feel like, oh, this is maybe like the pace I need to do for the race. And then it doesn't mean that you're wiped out when you hit the wall at 25. It just means that you're a little bit harder than if you were just swimming for comfort. Okay? It's hard to know the difference until you know the difference, and then you're like, okay, it makes sense. So that's why I do not use the zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, although they still apply. Most people, it's zone 1 or zone 5 plus. They haven't just learned what those differences are. And then the rest of the swimming is just easy drills. Just do a few of these harder efforts just to kind of get that feeling down, and then do some easy swimming. The run is 30 to 45 minutes. This is a build to zone 2 and then hold. And then the thing about this one is that you're going to hold it all the way through and slightly start dialing it up near the end. So when you get down to the last half mile or even a mile or so, then you're going a little bit faster, a little bit faster. The point is that you want this to start relatively easy, build to that moderate zone 2 pace, then sort of drift it up a little harder, a little harder, a little harder. So if you look at a graph, it'd be kind of up, level, and then slowly kind of up, and then the last bit you kick it up to zone 3, but not to zone 4. So you shouldn't get to the point where you're panting deeply. You should just be the sort of rhythmic, deeper breath with it. Part of that is just, again, practicing, okay, what gear am I in? Am I going too hard? Am I going too easy? And feeling the difference between your zone 1, zone 2, and zone 3, and also to simulate how on race day, even at the same effort, it'll get harder and harder and harder as you get more tired. Okay? And then some easy jogging and walking at the end of 10 minutes or so. Okay? Friday is your optional strength day. The reason why I say optional is that this is a good day for most people to put strength in there, particularly upper body, Pilates for core, anything, whatever your choice is. Again, I wouldn't go super high energy stuff like Zumba per se, because the goal is that you want to make sure that you have a good weekend workouts. So kind of have to play that by ear and feel, because if you hit your legs really hard and then you can't do your bike on Saturday, or run on Saturday, sorry, and then your bike on Sunday, then you need to back off on the strength work, and then focus more on like the yoga and things like that on Friday. It can just be a full recovery day. The other thing is you could always inject another swim in here. Although Saturday morning, come Saturday morning, this is your key long swim day. When I say long, your workout time may not be all that much longer. So 45 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour at most. again, of actual swim time. We don't need you to swim an hour at the relatively slow Ironman pace that I had. Yeah, I could swim practically the 2.4 miles in an hour, so no, I don't need you to be swimming 2.4 miles. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the long is you get a good warm-up, you do some drills, again, 25 meter practicing your hand entry, 25 meter practicing your breathing, 25 meter practicing your kick, 25 meter practicing your float. You know, each of these kind of drills, get your form down, plenty of rest in between each 25 meters or 50 meters to make sure that each and every time you do the next one, you've got a good recovery and that your form is good. And then this is the meat of it, you're going to do your longer sets. So since the race is 300 meters, a long set is anything over, say, 100 meters. So you may start with a few 100-meter intervals, and eventually you're doing 200-meter intervals. And then as we get closer to race day, I might have you actually doing 2, sometimes 3, sometimes of 300 meters. Of course, by then you should be comfortable enough to do the 300 meters. Then you get a bit of a rest, and then you do the 300 meters. Then you get a bit of a rest, and then you do 300 meters. You know, and then you just do some relaxed swimming at the end. So, but for this week, 100 meters. Again, if you struggled at the 50, particularly on the Tuesday swim, you know, this may be the time where you actually try to hit 100 meters, knowing that you get to have plenty of a rest, and then maybe try another 100 meters, and then you get some rest, and then try it again, so that you can crank out about 300 meters or so of steady state. If you're able to do the 200, then bonus, that's even better. Eventually, again, we'll be doing the race distance and slightly longer. Your body can tolerate the swim being twice the distance of the race distance, whereas obviously you don't want to do that in the run at the same as the run intensity. That's why in marathon I never gone more than 18-20 miles as my longest run before the race. Whereas I could bike the whole distance, I could swim the whole distance, and then do additional work. So just your body is able to tolerate the swim. Right now it doesn't feel like it, but it can. So the next part of the workout day is your key bike. It would be good to do it as a brick, but everybody knows the logistics between the pool and the bike isn't always the best. So, but if you can, your body get used to the idea of swimming pretty hard and then jumping on the bike and going, "Whoa, wow, I'm actually tired." It can be helpful. But at this point in the training plan, don't worry about it so much, but just keep that in mind. And then but today is the swim in the morning and then run in the evening when it comes to Saturday. This is your long run. And long run, again, doesn't necessarily mean we're going to have you run 2-3 hours. It just means that we're going to have you run at a steady pace for longer blocks. Other workouts are going to break it up, and you're going to have different intensity levels and stuff. This is going to be pretty much, let's get you to zone 2 and then have you hold it, and then you hold it, and then you hold it, and then you hold it. If you're trying to hold it and you're not used to running that far, you might say that, well, wait a minute, if I'm running an hour, even after a 10-minute slower warm-up, that's going to be 4 miles. That's going to be longer than my race. That's true. Here's the thing, and this is what I want you to do on these long runs. Every 8 to 10 minutes, every 5 minutes if you're struggling, but every 8 to 10 minutes, you take a 20-step break. So what's that? That's basically just like an aid station where you would stop and get your cup, walk 20 steps, drink it, splash some on you, throw it in the thing, and then go. That's what you're going to do on race day, and that's what I even do on race day. Honestly, on sprints, maybe not so much, but even Olympics, I have done the 20 steps to just sometimes for a mental break, just to say, okay, recover, boom, boom, okay, I'm on my feet and I'm gone again. So the thing is if it's every 8 to 10 minutes, you're going to be able to do it, 2 or 3 times. You're going to get those little breaks. You'll let that little body, your body will get a little sense of reset, and then the goal is to get right back in that zone 2 pace. So it'll train you to hold that zone 2 pace. And then later, as we get closer to race day, we'll start dialing it up, and we'll start actually worrying about how far you've run as far as distance relative to time. So the time on the long runs may actually get shorter, but your intensity will go up ever so slightly to zone 3, for example. So, but we don't need to worry about that then. That's going to be closer to race day, and it's going to be more race-like. Right now, we're just getting your body used to some volume of effort. Okay? So, shoot me an email, text me, let me know, questions, concerns. And I know right now it sounds like it's a lot to kind of try to digest. You don't have to understand all of it, as long as you're able to get those key workouts in. If you just see where it says 20-minute swim and you go to the pool for 20 minutes, you don't know what any of the rest of it is, you don't care, you just do 20 minutes. Same thing with the runs. You go out and you just run for the whatever the time block is. Same with the bike. You'll still get some good benefit. The thing is that by doing it the way that I've plugged it in here, you'll see your tolerance to the intensity and your ability to get more bang for the buck than just simply just trying to go run, say 20 minutes a couple times a week. Okay? So, we'll talk to you later. Bye.